Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this session, we are going to talk about supply chain performance measurement, also known as KPIs, key performance indicators, or critical success factors, or in other words, key success factors. First things first, here we talk about consideration for supply chain management performance metrics. That means what are the points that we need to consider for our supply chain matrix. That includes when choosing supply chain performance matrix, it is essential to keep in mind the cross-functional process-oriented nature of the supply chain. As you can recall, all the way from the source of origin down to the customer, there is a continuum of different activities. On one side, there is the upstream and then midstream, followed by the downstream markets. So it's a very broad spectrum with myriad of different activities taking place. So that is the cross-functional approach. Functional measures may be too narrow-minded and should be substituted by cross-functional measures, therefore helping that not individual entities optimize only their functional goals, that is maximizing capacity utilization, but the shared goals, that is superior order fill rate compared to a rival supply chain, that is your competitor supply chain. Because supply chain as it goes, it's the hand-in-hand collaboration among different departments, various entities, among different strategic partners, both on the suppliers end as well as the market distribution end or your clients end, and even in between, that is within the factory and uh, in every corner of operation that a company deal with its partners or external entities, there's a chain of links. So that is has to be established, and that comes with uh, cooperation. It's about trustworthiness. It's about collaboration, and so on and so forth. Performance measures, they tackle different aspects of the supply chain, and they are grouped into four category attributes. And under these attributes, there are different facets or dimensions that can be uh, further included. But broadly speaking, the four ones are here. The first one is delivery performance. The second one is supply chain responsiveness. The third one is assets and inventories. And the fourth one is cost. So referring back to time, cost, and quality. So the time factor is covered under delivery performance, and the quality factor is also covered here. Under supply chain responsiveness, time factor is also covered, and obviously the quality factor is also covered here, depending on the nature of raw material or the components or the spare parts, or if anything is outsourced to your partners or vendors. So the quality coming from them based on the work done. So that is where, and also done within the time frame, within the given specification and requirements. So responsiveness cover a broader spectrum. It covers a broader scope. Then we measure the effectiveness of supply chain based on assets, where we measure asset turns, meaning the output that is being generated by utilizing the current available assets. Not really the current assets, but the assets that are available to the company, which they are utilizing to generate that output. So it is that ratio. So assets should not be underutilized. Otherwise, the ratio will be less. We have to keep that ratio more higher, the better. So same goes with the inventories, where we measure the inventories turns or inventory turnover ratio. That is, if you have your inventory turns, meaning that the consumption of material divided by the average inventory. So that number should be higher. That would signify that that particular product has a strong demand in the market, and there is a recurring cycle of sale taking place all the time, thereby generating a need for more production runs, and thereby inventory is utilized uh, in uh, to sell the in the sale function basically. And then comes the cost. Here, cost function talks about value addition as well, where we take the difference between the price points and the cost of production, and the difference is the value addition, and we divide that by total number of employees to measure the output, the value added contribution by each employee. Side by side is also covers the warranty costs. It's a good indicator to pinpoint where the problem lies. When the customer comes back to you with its problem, so you could identify if it happens over and over, then there is some genuine issue or flaw in your supply chain. It really helps you pinpoint and track down to the root cause of the problem. Thereby you could control your costs as well. One thing more about inventories, there is uh, inventory age, where the inventory lying in the warehouse grows older. That means there is no and not much significant demand in the market, and as a result there is not much demand for your inventories, consequently, and subsequently they are not sold that often, and as a result it keeps sitting in your warehouse, where it keeps losing its value, according to Tim Cook, at least by 10% annually. In some industries, just-in-time option is a better option, but it's not always a good solution, because the requirement may vary from the nature of a business and company to company. Therefore, ideally, uh, lesser the better, lesser levels of inventory, because the fixed cost would be much low for you. But depending on the nature of a product, sometimes it is good to have enough inventory on hand. So there's a an option for you to come up with a best scenario or a best match between the cost incurred in keeping that inventory level against the expected demand. Here you can see on the screen are the key performance indicators, which have been spelled out here under internal KPIs, risk KPIs, under flexibility KPIs, under external KPIs, and under sustainable KPIs. I will make a note of the external KPIs, and here specifically I will talk about this, the first one, OTIF. This one, this OTIF stands for on time in full. When a product is delivered on time in full, that means that the order has not only been delivered, but also it was delivered on time with the required specifications. So these are all the KPIs that a company might use them based on what is relevant to them. Then here, there was a survey conducted in some of the European countries where they found that the key KPIs that most of the organizations um, showed their preference for uh, regarding the nature of their business were reliability, agility, flexibility, responsiveness, and cost, which also shows their expectation from supply chain performance. And here's the graph. You could see that those KPIs are on the top one over here. And then the second one here, it also are the internal KPIs. And the third one here, they measure risk, risk KPIs. And these are the sustainability KPIs to keep under consideration planet, people, over and above the profit. So that is where the environmental related considerations are are included. So with that, we conclude our session. Thank you.